Jupiter officially moves into Leo on June 29th, and this year-long transit is all about connecting with our authenticity and sharing our unique gifts with the world. That said, this transit is also all about shedding egoic desires for undue recognition. That's right, this is not the gregarious, over-the-top, dramatic Jupiter in Leo transit that we've gotten used to in previous cycles. With a conjunction to the karmic South Node in the mix, this time around, Jupiter in Leo favors generosity over self-centered desires, authenticity over drama, and spiritual purpose over fame and recognition. But whenever Jupiter moves into Leo, the energy becomes larger than life. Jupiter expands on all of the biggest and best Leo qualities, including generosity, heart-centered authenticity, leadership, striving for a sense of deep purpose and meaning, and also recognition for your unique talents and gifts. Jupiter in Leo also inspires confidence and courage. It's all about connecting with your soul's desires because Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun represents the soul's expression of purpose in physical reality. It's that spark of life that causes us to initiate action, to run with something, to feel like our life has meaning. And with Jupiter transiting Leo, our personal quest for meaning and purpose is going to expand, as well as the desire to put something out there that other people can benefit from and recognize us for. And even though Jupiter is being subdued a little bit by the South Node, it's being made a little bit more spiritual, a little bit more connected to our destiny, to our fate, to something very karmic and very deep within us. It's still in Leo, right? And so Jupiter in Leo can be very over the top, and opportunities that come to us can seem larger than life. Especially because the South Node is in the mix, this could lead us to feeling disappointed when the opportunity actually comes to pass with what's happening in actual reality. Luckily, we have Saturn in the mix in a trine with Jupiter on and off throughout this entire transit, grounding our expectations into reality and allowing us to take our biggest and most important dreams, our most destined dreams, and turn them into something real and tangible. And so while at times our ambitions will be a little overinflated or a lot overinflated, in the case of the very onset of the Jupiter in Leo transit, because it will be opposing Pluto, and we'll talk about that in just a second, we do have some additional energies that are keeping the drama in check. And so essentially, this transit of Jupiter through Leo, which lasts from June 29th of 2026 all the way through to July 25th of 2027, is balanced by the cultivation of a deeper level of self-awareness when it comes to the mark that we're making on the world, when it comes to the type of recognition that we're seeking. Is it shallow? Is it aimless? Is it that we're seeking recognition or fame just for the sake of fame? Or are we seeking to actually do something that is connected to our heart in a very generous, authentic, heart-centered way, where we're sharing part of ourselves with the world in a way that's beneficial? And that's maybe what we want to be recognized for. In this video, I'm going to cover everything you need to know to navigate the Jupiter and Leo transit for the next year, including a detailed forecast for all 12 signs. But before we get into that, make sure you download my free Astrology 101 quick reference guide at the link down in the description below. This is going to help you to pick out all of your Leo placements, as well as other placements in your birth chart that are going to be heavily impacted by Jupiter and Leo as we go through this video, so you can get an even deeper, more nuanced interpretation for your entire year ahead and the blessings, benefits, and opportunities that Jupiter is going to bring your way so you don't miss them. Because one of the things with Jupiter when it transits a certain sign is that people often have very elevated expectations, but it leads to eventual disappointment. It's like, yeah, things were good, they were okay, I was floating along, things were just kind of, mellow in this area of my life. There were no problems, but I didn't get that windfall. I didn't get, in this particular circumstance, that recognition for my talent. I didn't connect with something really deep and put it out there. I missed the opportunity that came my way to do this, that, or the other thing because I was kicking back, relaxing, and being lazy. That can happen very frequently with these Jupiter transits because Jupiter is all about ease. It's the great benefic for a reason. It brings beneficial energies, and it does bring opportunities that can be like really big and really powerful in the way that they alter and change our lives, but we have to be able to take the initiative to take advantage of those opportunities. We have to be prepared for those opportunities so when they show up, we can jump on them and we can recognize them for what they are. Jupiter also brings ease. It makes things not as challenging as they normally are in the area of life where it's being impacted. And so if we're not looking for the opportunity, and if there's no friction going on that's causing us to want to change something or take advantage of the opportunity, we might just miss that part of the Jupiter transit, but we might benefit through just having an easier, better time where we get to actually kick back and relax in this new area of life where Jupiter's transiting. And maybe that's just what you need, right? And so kind of think about, as we're going into this transit, what do you want from Jupiter? Where can you look for greater ease? Where could you benefit from greater ease and just an alleviation of pressure in a certain area of your life where things will just be more fun, more creative, more uplifting, where you'll get to smile more, where you'll be just more joyful and having a better time overall. But maybe you don't want to make this big dramatic change. Maybe you don't want to take advantage of like a big, huge, dramatic, life-changing opportunity because it's going to be maybe more than you can handle. And for some people it will be, because we are at the very onset of this transit going to have Jupiter opposing Pluto. And so this first occurs, actually it only occurs in July of 2026. Jupiter moves into the sign of Leo on the 29th of June, and then it hits an opposition to Pluto on July 20th. This is an intense energy that works in extremes. This is where you can have that very extreme windfall, that extreme reversal of fortune in the right direction. This is where extreme, powerful, over-the-top, and dramatic opportunities can come your way, especially because the nodes have not changed signs yet. And so we don't have that ego check. We don't have that south node, which is sort of depleting the physical manifestations of this Jupiter energy and gearing it more toward the spiritual. This is going to be a time where a very material energy of growth and development can occur. But for some people, where they're being hit by this really hard, it's going to be more than you bargained for. It's going to be like, oh shit, what do I do with this? Like, this is too much of a good thing. This is too much all at once. Yeah, I know I asked for this, but oh my goodness. How do I handle everything that's going on right now, everything that's coming my way? This is also happening as part of the Barbault's basket configuration that I talked about in my July forecast. Make sure you go back and watch that video. There is so much powerful insight and deep insight into what this means for you, far beyond what I'm going to be able to cover in this video. And it's all bookmarked so you can go to the timestamp for this period if that's all you care about and get deeper insight into what this looked like historically, what this is going to look like collectively, and what this is going to look like more personally for you. I also have a mundane astrology forecast that I did in collaboration with Dan Waits from World Astrology Report that you can watch after this video as well. But the main point is that this basket configuration softens the energy a little bit on a personal level. Like on a global scale, this is pretty remarkable. And even on a personal level, especially if you have any of your planets at the first like 10 degrees of really any sign, but especially the masculine signs, you're going to be feeling this really positively. And you can figure out if you have planets in those signs by downloading my Astrology 101 quick reference guide, where you work through your birth chart and figure all of that out, and you'll know what the masculine signs are. But the masculine signs are more active in their energy. They are more initiatory. And so this is about not just taking advantage of the luck, but it's about creating your own luck. It's about having to actually do something to draw the luck into your life. You have to prepare and create the right circumstances so the opportunities can come find you. And so that's going to be a big part of us gearing up for the Barbault's basket configuration, for the Jupiter opposing Pluto configuration, and for the potential for everything to change in your life in a really big and dramatic way for certain people with certain signs and certain planets, that are at the earlier degrees of those signs. Not everyone's going to experience this in this over the top way, but some people will. And so I just want you to be prepared to take advantage of the energy when it's here. And so what exactly might those opportunities look like? What exactly do you need to set the stage for when Jupiter moves into Leo? Thinking back to what was happening in your life between July 16th of 2014 through August 11th of 2015 will help you get on the right track with that, because that was the last time Jupiter was in Leo. Now that time around, things were a little bit different. Jupiter was actually in square with Saturn, which was a little bit more inhibitory, a little bit more focused on responsibility, and there were some blockages to creating this path of new abundance and generosity and recognition, but it was still very much there. This time around, it's a little bit different because Saturn's going to be supporting us in a trine. However, the Saturn trine to Jupiter is not the strongest energy because Saturn's in its fall position. So it has limited ability to help us with that framework and with building what it is that we need to build on a practical, real life level. But it's still there and it's still helping, and it's better than having Saturn in square with Jupiter. And so Jupiter doesn't make this trine with Saturn right away, like right out the gate. This occurs for the first time on August 31st of 2026. So you're going to be feeling this more like middle to end of August through the start of September, where there is this grounded energy where it's like, oh, we had these extreme opportunities, these extreme ideas, this extreme energy of generosity, this extreme energy of wanting to push something forward and being seen for it. And now we're being grounded and brought back down to earth in maybe more of a subtle, gentle way. So that's going to come around in August of this year, into a little bit into September, but it'll come around again in April of 2027, and then once again in July of 2027. And so we'll talk about especially that April period in just a second, because this is merging with the South Node energy. And it's just very interesting the way that this is showing up. So I think March through May of 2026 is going to be a really powerful time for this Jupiter in Leo transit. But before we get there, we have the very first conjunction between Jupiter and the South Node on November 11th of 2026. And this first pass is a little more intense and a little less harmonious than the subsequent energies that we'll be experiencing March, April, a little bit into May of next year, because we will have Mars in the mix. And so we have this configuration here where we have Mars at 23 degrees in the sign of Leo, and then we have Jupiter and the South Node at 25 degrees in the sign of Leo, all forming this really tight configuration. What's nice about it though, and what I really like about it, is that this is actually in trine with Chiron, which has dipped back by that point into the sign of Aries for the very last time. And so this to me is like a faded spiritual connection to some sort of healing process. This is about looking to our past in order to take advantage of new opportunities in the future. And this is something that we're going to have to take action on. There will be friction, there will be ambition, there will be need to get some momentum going, but we have to be doing it for the right reasons. The South Node requires that we give it up to God, we give it up to a higher purpose. The South Node does not allow us in any sign to do something just for the sake of stoking our own ego. It's very non-physical, it's very spiritual, it's very connected to past life karma and past situations where we have gotten stuck in a cycle for whatever reason. Maybe we took a wrong turn. Maybe we didn't learn a lesson that we needed to learn. There is some karma that needs to be cleaned up collectively, obviously, because this impacts everyone. But for some of us, this is going to hit us really hard, where there's karma that needs to be cleaned up on a very personal and individual level. And what this looks like is going to differ from person to person. Of course, we'll talk about it a little bit in the All Signs forecast. But really, this is about taking your unique talents and gifts and this connection to a purpose that is truly your own. And some of that is connected to what you've experienced and dealt with and harnessed and cultivated, not just in this lifetime, not just up until this point here and now, but in previous incarnations, because the South Node is also about taking advantage of your unique talents and gifts, but using them to serve something that's bigger and broader and just beyond you. That's what this is really looking like to me. So there is an energy here where something is going to happen that requires immediate action. And that something is also going to be tied to a healing process that we've been going through for roughly 8 years with Chiron in Aries that we need to really round out and really complete at this time by letting go of self-serving interests and focusing more on how we can share our heart, our generosity, our gifts with the world. And so this Jupiter conjunction to the South Node really starts to amp up in October through November, and it lasts really through about May of 2027 because it's going to hit exact again at the start of March and again in April of 2027. And collectively, a lot of what we tend to see with the South Node is sort of an unraveling. It's an exposing and unraveling of things that no longer serve us, of cycles that are past their expiration date. If people are striving to hold on to something that is not being done for the right reasons, it tends to backfire because you can't do something for material gain. You can't do something just for the sake of recognition when the South Node is transiting the sign of Leo and just in general with the South Node. And so because Jupiter is in the sign of Leo, because Leo is all about celebrity, it's about performance, it's about being seen, it's about people who are iconic, it's about big personalities, it's about influencer culture. I think things on that level are going to change. I think it's going to shift a little bit more toward celebrity, but for a purpose, and doing something because it's authentic and it's generous and it helps people, or you want to share something that's really unique with the world. I think this is going to favor people who are, influencers, but for the right reasons versus people that just want to get recognition and get their name in front of a bunch of people. I will also say that Leo is connected to royalty, it's connected to kings and queens, and that could be in a very literal sense, but also in more of a metaphorical sense. And so people that are in leadership positions where their leadership is not connected to a higher purpose, or where they exist as a figurehead that is just there to be seen and worshiped and, some sort of publicity situation, I think that those people are going to either have to change or something will be exposed, something will unravel. They'll start to have some sort of difficulty around this time. And then reining it back into a more personal influence, the last thing I want to talk about is this time period, really March through May. It starts maybe even at the end of February, where we're going to have Jupiter slowing down, stationing to go direct. It actually goes retrograde at the end of 2026 on December 12th, and then it stations to go direct on April 12th of 2027. And around that time, we're going to have Jupiter in a really exact trine with Saturn on April 3rd. Jupiter will also be conjunct the South Node on March 1st and again on April 19th. So it's going to be stationing in a conjunction with the South Node. And so we have this very intense energy where the connection between Jupiter, the South Node, and Saturn is very amped up. Anytime a planet stations, it's much closer to the Earth, it's brighter in the sky, it's more important and more prominent in its influence. And so this is going to be a milestone moment for Jupiter's transit through the sign of Leo. And so while it is Jupiter's the great benefic, it is going to bring a lot of luck and good fortune and protection to most people. I do also think that this is sort of like a reckoning or a coming to God moment when it comes to this Jupiter and Leo transit, where it's kind of like, oh, I realize now that I have been doing this for the wrong reasons, especially because Jupiter has just been retrograde, and that's more about internal growth. That's more about growing your wisdom. That's more about the inner work and the inner expansion versus the external manifestation, which in Leo is fun and playing, creativity and recognition and, fame and connecting with your talents and doing something with it out in the world. It's more of an introspection about your unique gifts, what you're here to do, how you can share your heart with others more authentically, how you can be successful but also connected and grounded and authentic in your truth. And this is going to be a big period where we're going to be looking at that, especially because that South Node energy is there. And we'll talk a lot more about the South Node transiting through Leo, by the way, in a future forecast where, of course, I will cover this for all the signs and we'll do a deep dive because this is its own situation. But we can't talk about Jupiter in Leo without talking about the South Node in Leo because they're so stuck together. And this is an energy here where I actually really like this. You know, some people are scared of the South Node because it does bring loss, it brings leakiness, it brings weakness, it does do that sort of unraveling. It's where you dwell in that area and things tend to not work because you stay stuck. Whereas, you know, the North Node, when it comes to physical energy and physical manifestation, that's more what we're growing toward. We feel excited about it. It's like this insatiable urge to jump into it, where the South Node feels more comfortable. And so this is about looking at our comfort zones when it comes to the opportunities that are coming our way. But this is also about a grand opportunity to clear out past karma, to clear out anything that's holding us back, so that way we can move forward into our path, purpose, and destiny in a much bigger way. And so this is a really potent and powerful moment. And because Saturn's in the mix, and because Mars is once again in the mix with this configuration, because it's going to be sitting with Jupiter, again, in a little configuration here of Mars, South Node, and Jupiter around the time that Jupiter stations, it's kind of like having to initiate or take action on something that is stable, long-lasting, that's very grounded, that's very authentic, that's connected to your heart, that's connected to your spirit, that's connected to your destiny. But you have to let go of something in order to make that happen, and you have to initiate the action to let that thing go once and for all. And I think it's going to flow really easily. I mean, Saturn has really good reception with Mars, which is in Trine. So Saturn has a better opportunity also at this time to create stability, longevity, to help you take the necessary steps and do the necessary work to take this opportunity and turn it into something that matters, that is long lasting, that gives you a good foundation. So this is a period of time that I would mark on your calendar, especially if you have a lot of Leo energy, as being extra important. So Jupiter will have its third and final trine to Saturn on July 11th of 2027, and then it will move on and enter the sign of Virgo on July 25th of 2027, and that's where it's going to stay for the next year. And so that is the entire Jupiter transit through Leo, at least the major, most pivotal energies and transits that are going to be occurring. And so now that we have gotten that under our belts, let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs. And before we do, I just want to remind you to make sure that you listen to your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign to get a more holistic overview of the energy for your entire year ahead, so you can take advantage of all of the blessings that come in many different forms based on your sun, moon, and rising sign. Your rising sign will be the most predominant energy. Your sun sign is extra important to listen to as well, because the sun is the ruler of Leo. And your moon sign is important to listen to as well, although this energy will be more internalized and subjective. And also, before we get into your forecast for all 12 signs, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I forgot to remind you earlier in the video, so you never miss an important astrology update. I post a new tutorial and forecast usually every single Sunday at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, and so you don't want to miss that. Make sure you comment below too and let me know what you're most looking forward to with Jupiter transiting the sign of Leo and where Leo shows up in your birth chart. Share this with a friend if you feel like they could benefit from the information that I'm sharing with you today. And of course, like the video and hype it if you're watching in the first 7 days, because that really helps us to get this information out to way more people. If you're listening on the podcast, give us a 5-star review, leave us a comment. That helps us more than you can know. For Aries and for Aries rising, the luck, the expansion, the good fortune of Jupiter transiting the sign of Leo is happening in your 5th house, which is the house of joy. It's the house of play. It's the house of fun. It's the house of your hobbies, your interests, your passions, the things that you love to do because you love to do them. And this is all about connecting to your passions. This is about opportunities to bring yourself more joy and to reconnect with something from your past that's really important in terms of a creative creative pursuit, in terms of something that's very fated, very connected to your past lifetimes even, that used to bring you joy, that used to be a talent, that used to be a gift that you really connected with, especially creatively, that you really need to bring back into the mix, and that you might actually start to restructure as being a foundational part of your life and who you are moving forward. This is all about also expanding your connection to children. Between Jupiter and the South Node and Saturn in your first house, this is all of the different things that I will see commonly for women, especially in their charts when they become pregnant. So if that's something that you want, and you know, it absolutely could be with that Jupiter energy, that could come about if you are in that phase of your life, and it could come about in a very fated, unexpected way, and it will be a lot of work, a lot of responsibility. That's why Saturn in the first house is common for pregnancy. But I do think that this would be something that would end up being welcomed and a positive experience, even if it's not something that you're planning for. If you're not planning for it, be careful. This is an increase in fertility, I would say, for a lot of people. The South Node is the opposite of that, but with Jupiter in the mix, I wouldn't be so certain because the South Node is a little unpredictable. So just be careful with that. This could also be bringing fated, positive new developments involving your children. So if you have children, this is about expanding on your connection with them, expanding on their joy. This is about potentially your children being able to take advantage of really incredible fated opportunities that will benefit them in ways that you might not even understand in the moment, because it is so tied to their destiny, to their fate, to something that's bigger and more beyond just what's happening in the here and now. For Taurus and for Taurus rising, this Jupiter and Leo transit is all about expanding on your home, your family, your property, your real estate, your connection with your parents, your ancestors. This is a really beautiful energy for a fated move that could come about in a big and powerful way. For some of you, it could be, especially if you have your rising sign or your IC at around 4 degrees in the sign of Taurus, or your IC in the sign of Leo. Not everyone with a Taurus rising will have their IC in Leo, but if you have that, this could be a powerful new development that changes your entire life and alters your destiny to be more aligned with what you truly need, want, and desire when it comes to your living situation and your work situation. And so that could occur in July for some people. For everyone else, this is just about looking for the opportunity to create a better, more harmonious, more fun and playful and exciting home life. I would say, because there's a spiritual connection to this energy of Jupiter and the South Node in Leo, that this would be a really great time to re-examine your roots, your ancestry. This could be a good time for past life work even. This could be a time for ancestral healing. This could also be a time for connecting to the magic that exists within your home, having a deeper energetic and spiritual connection to your actual living environment through studying different modalities like feng shui. That would be something that could be really great for you to do right now. Also, great time for redecorating, remodeling, expanding your home, moving. There could be an opportunity for a new development with a place of living that you never would have thought that you could have afforded, or that you would have had an opportunity to move into, that shows up for you in this next year. For Gemini and Gemini rising, Jupiter is transiting your 3rd house, and this is going to be a lot about expanding your mind. This is going to be opportunities to connect with new forms of knowledge. This is a great time to look at your spiritual practices and your day-to-day rituals when it comes to your connection to something bigger than you. Between the South Node and Jupiter coming into that configuration in your 3rd house, which is the house of ritual, it's the house of religious practice and spiritual practice on a day-to-day basis, this would be a great time to hone in on those things and to examine the magic that unfolds in your life as a result of that deeper connection on that day-to-day level. This is also a really great time to get signs, synchronicities, messages from the divine in your everyday experience, where your day-to-day communications and connections take on more meaning. Between Jupiter, again, and that South Node energy, Jupiter is going to expand on your connections with your neighbors, your neighborhood, people that you surround yourself with in your immediate environment, and so you can have unexpected opportunities that come through a conversation, conversation you have at the grocery store, a connection with somebody in your community. And so keep an eye out for those things, absolutely. This is also a time where your knowledge can be transformed and expanded on, especially in July. I would say with this Jupiter-Pluto opposition, there could be an extreme change in your belief system, your ideology, your worldview that can be very powerful and I would say ultimately positive, but it's going to overwhelm you because it's going to be kind of more than you bargained for. This is also where if you want a new vehicle, something beneficial can come in. This could benefit you through clearing up past karma and anything that's holding you back from having a good connection with your siblings or extended family members, if that's applicable to you. And this is a really great time where opportunities and good fortune can come through connecting with places nearby. So like short distance travel, within like an hour or so, travel by car, travel by train, to places that you feel really called toward or really pulled to, that feel really comfortable and familiar to you, that feel almost like home or like a hug. That would be a really great thing where opportunities can come to you. And this is a great time for social connections, especially in the spring of 2027, where opportunities can come for more stable and long-lasting social connections through your community connections. For Cancer and for Cancer rising, lucky Cancer, Jupiter's transiting your second house of money, material possessions, and resources. Just make sure that you're not trying to acquire resources just to show off and be flashy and have the most luxurious and over-the-top types of things. So if you are acquiring resources because you want to increase your generosity, you want to be able to do things and have experiences that are truly meaningful and fun and create joy, not just in your life, but maybe in the lives of other people, then this is an excellent time for expansion of wealth. Even with the South Node there can be dramatic changes in your resources. And I would say especially at the very start of this transit in July, when we have the Jupiter-Pluto opposition, there could be an extreme change in your wealth potential, and that could be for the positive. And even if that doesn't come in a big grandiose way at the start of this transit, you have the ability to build wealth through the mark that you're making on the world, through your career, if that's applicable to you. There is something here where maybe even somebody in a position of power and authority that's been holding you back will finally be able to help you in some way instead. So you'll unlock opportunities for that. But there's definitely changes in your resources coming, and I would say that they're mostly positive, but there is a risk of unraveling your resources if you're spending just to show off. So keep that in mind. That is my warning to you. If you are doing things just to be flashy and just to get other people jealous of you and just to, all of that kind of stuff, I'm sure most of my viewers are not like that, but there could be a desire, like this hidden urge that comes up around this time. And if that comes, do not submit to it. That's what I will say. For Leo and for Leo rising, Jupiter is transiting your first house, which means that in this situation, you create your own luck. Opportunities can come to you based on what you've done in the past. It's kind of like a karmic reckoning where the results are going to be mostly positive. It's kind of like you get to reap the rewards and benefits from the good things, the opportunities that you seeded from the past, not just in this lifetime, but maybe also in previous incarnations as well. You're going to be having a lot of positive changes coming your way. And when you set the stage for the opportunities that you want to create in your life, they're going to come to you. The other thing I would say is this is a time to shed your ego. This is a time where any egoic desires for recognition, for fame just for the sake of fame, where you want to just be seen because you're here and you think that people need to be paying attention to you, that's not going to work with this particular transit. Jupiter in Leo, because of the South Node connection, it's not going to stand for drama for the sake of drama. I will say though that there might be some drama at the very start of this transit for you, especially when it comes to your most important relationships. Because in July, Jupiter will be opposing Pluto, the South Node won't be in the mix yet, and so this is a time where your ego desires, or your desire to be seen or recognized, or your desire to create some sort of opportunity and partnership might get the better of you. This is a time where you might have elevated expectations for something that you put out there or that you're creating or for or a connection with somebody where, yes, it can be a transformative experience, especially if you have a Leo sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees. But it could also just be that you get more than you bargained for. So I will say that. As long as though for the rest of this transit, you're aligning your desires and you're aligning your self-expression, you're aligning this connection with your purpose, aligning what you're creating with your beliefs, with your integrity, then things I think are going to work out pretty well for you. This is a time where you're protected against the worst case scenario. This is a time where you might feel more energized, more ambitious. You might get more recognition, especially for your unique talents, the gifts that come to you in a way that's very fated and very natural. This is where you can share your heart, your generosity, your experience with the world, and you can make a mark that is going to get you the right type of recognition. For Virgo and Virgo rising, Jupiter in Leo is a time of deep spiritual exploration and expansion. This isn't just about spiritual study, although that will be a part of it. This is about real, actual, lived experiential connection with something bigger and greater than you, with other dimensional realities, with other realms. Especially this is about you connecting to your past lives or your past experiences, where, I mean, this would be a really powerful time for doing some sort of past life regression work. This would be a really powerful time for exploring your roots, your ancestry. This would be a really powerful time for any sort of transcendent experience. I don't normally say like, oh, you should go do psychedelics, and that's not what I'm saying here either. You know, exercise caution and do what feels best for you. But this would be a really powerful and important time where altered states of reality and consciousness could change your life for the better. This is also a really positive energy for 12th house institutions. And so if you're somebody who works in the hospital system, the prison system, if you're trying to get out of prison, maybe, this is a really powerful time where, you know, those institutions like rehabilitation centers, retreat centers, all of that have more positive energy. So this would also be a really great time to go on some sort of retreat, some sort of getaway where you're pulling yourself away from normal day-to-day reality, because the 12th house is also the house of rest. This is also the time to focus on getting deep sleep. Definitely keep a dream journal, because messages that come through for you are going to be really powerful and potent, and they're going to reverberate out into other areas of your life. This is a time where it's going to be very easy for you to heal through and clear out past karma from previous cycles that have been plaguing you and coming back around over and over and over again and causing you to make a mess of things, because the 12th house is the house of self-undoing for a reason. For Libra and Libra rising, Jupiter is in its joy in your 11th house. That means that it's really happy there. Jupiter loves to create opportunities through connections with other people, through your social networks, through people that support you in one way or another, through benefactors even. This is a great time for socializing and social connection in general, for expanding on your social circle. I would say for the next year, definitely take any opportunity that you can to put yourself out there and meet new people, because opportunities can come in ways that you would never have expected when you're making those connections. This is also where really positive, beneficial connections that could help you further your goals can come through people that show up very synchronistically, where it feels like fate, it feels like fortune, it feels like this person is somebody that you already know, that you already were connected to or are supposed to be connected to in some way. And so keep an eye out for connections that feel familiar yet positive, because those are the ones that are going to have the most benefits, not just for you, but for them, because this isn't just about you and what benefits you. This is about your ability to expand through sharing your unique talents and gifts with a group, with your friends, with other people in social situations. This is about becoming more authentic when it comes to your social connections, connecting with people who are more authentic, but showing yourself more authentically. This is about a heartfelt, heart-centered connection that you can make with not just one person, but probably many people during this time. And this is also really important for building close one-on-one connections very slowly and very deliberately as a result of all of this good fortune and all of this good energy. For Scorpio and Scorpio rising, Jupiter is expanding on your career. It's expanding on your recognition. This is a really powerful time where you can become known for something. But the thing that you become known for has to be not just in service of you. So it's not just like, I want to be, famous. I want to become an influencer. I want to be recognized by my boss and get this promotion so everyone knows how awesome I am. This is more about, how can I take my work, or how can I make a mark on the world, even if I'm not working, that is more authentic to me, that's more connected to what my soul came here to express and do? How can my unique gifts be generously shared with the world at large in order to benefit them, not me? That's where the recognition will come in. That's when the benefits will come in. That's when the expansion will come in. If you're approaching it that way, this is a very lucky time for career growth. This is a really lucky time for drawing in the right people in positions of power who can help you further your goals. This is a powerful time for building something sustainable and long-lasting and powerful when it comes to your career, when it comes to your legacy even. And so definitely take advantage of this. I would say with the Jupiter-Pluto opposition at the very start of this transit in July, there could be a big shift or a big windfall, or all of a sudden you have all of this fame and recognition and you're like, what the heck do I do with this? But that's going to be more for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and risings, anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees. And especially if you're a Scorpio rising and your midheaven is at the early degrees of Leo, that's where you might see where you might get a little bit more than you bargained for, but it'll be a little bit humbling as Jupiter moves deeper into Leo and comes into a conjunction with the South Node, dealing with that situation. So it will bring you back down to earth if you take things too far. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this Jupiter transit is happening in your 9th house, which is the house of adventure. It's the house of ideology. It's the house of your belief systems about God, the universe, the world around you. This is a time where you're going to be having some adventures, some big experiences. This is a time where travel becomes luckier and easier, especially travel to places that you feel really called to visit, where there's some sort of strange connection where you feel like, I need to go to this place. It feels familiar to me. It feels comfortable. It feels like I have already a connection to this location, even if I've never been here. This could also be revisiting travel to places that have been significant to you in the past and kind of bringing that back around, and those can bring benefits to you. This is a great time for you to connect with some sort of new religious belief system, to study more deeply the ideologies and philosophies that you're already connected to. And this is a time where you might very synchronistically connect with a very important teacher, especially a spiritual teacher of some kind, or someone who can give you a higher perspective on something, like a higher educational pursuit. This would be really great for that, especially if you're engaging in higher education in order to better yourself so you can better the world around you as a result of that, and share the talents and gifts that you develop with the world at large. This is a great time, I would say, for building something of importance when it comes to your knowledge, your experience, and your wisdom. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, this Jupiter transit is happening in your 8th house, which is sometimes an intense house, but we'll start with the material level because this is the house of joint finances and other people's money. Now, with Jupiter opposing Pluto, I've seen this create big swings, like extremes, when it comes to wealth and when it comes to especially money coming in from an outside source, through an investment, through your partner even. So this could be a time, especially in July, where your partner starts suddenly making a lot more money and it's like, whoa, what do we do with this? This could also be a time where your investments pay off, or you're very easily able to pay off a loan, or a loan gets canceled, or a loan comes in because you're looking to buy a home. So if there's a loan or money that you need from an outside source related to a property situation, the property situation is going to be sticky and it's going to be more work than you think it will, but the money can come in not just in July, but in general throughout this transit of Jupiter through the sign of Leo. And this entire transit of Jupiter in Leo is excellent for building wealth through investment, building wealth through savings. This could be a really important time to let go of egoic desires when it comes to finances and think about what truly has meaning for you. And think about also how you can utilize your wealth to give back to others, because that's going to be a very Jupiter in Leo conjunct the South Node thing, where it's like, yes, this is about me, but this is also about how I generously give back, how I can share these gifts with other people, with the world. This is also a really important time for healing through past trauma, wounds, vulnerabilities, past experiences that have left you feeling fearful, especially as they relate to your early childhood environment, to your parents, to your upbringing. This is a time where a big healing can take place, especially if you seek help through kind of humbling yourself and like asking for help through some sort of mental health professional, or through, you know, some sort of practitioner who can help you dive deeper into things. This is also a really interesting time because I think that a lot of you are going to be studying some of the occult sciences. You might be studying magic, you might be studying astrology, you might be studying deeper esoteric wisdom, because the 8th house is the house of esoteric wisdom and the occult in more modern times especially, and it's definitely the house of magic. If you're someone who's into magic, this is a beneficial time to dive a little bit deeper, as long as you are not using it just for your own gain, for stroking your ego and, you know, for material desires. I think that this could be interesting. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, Jupiter is transiting your 7th house, which is very beneficial for your relationships. So this is a really great time to connect with your partner. This is a time where your partner might benefit too. So if you are somebody who's married, often when Jupiter transits your 7th house, you expect, oh, I'm going to have this beautiful, glorious time in my relationship. And yeah, it can make things easier there. But the 7th house really represents your partner. And so it's kind of like your partner is having a glorious, beneficial time. They're having great opportunities coming their way. And it's more about them and how their luck impacts you as a result. And so letting go of the desire for this to be self-serving, I think, can be very helpful in general, but especially this time around. The other thing is that if you're not in partnership, this is a really powerful time over the next year, especially as we get into the end of this year through spring of 2026, where a very fated partnership could come into your life that is new but feels familiar, and you just feel like you already know this person. It feels like a hug. It feels like you are supposed to be with them. Like maybe you've done this for many, many lifetimes. And Jupiter is going to help that come into your life and help you to recognize it and take advantage of it. And even if you are married, this could come in the form of a new friend or a new close connection. So I love, love, love this for Aquarius, for romance, but also for one-to-one connections and close relationships with other people. And finally, for Pisces and for Pisces rising, this energy of Jupiter in the sign of Leo is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of health, work, and daily routines. It's not the sexiest house, but if you're somebody who wants to improve your health, this is going to make things easier. If you don't take advantage of it even, it's going to just make it so your health takes care of itself a little bit more so than it normally does, so you don't have to work as hard at it. Or if you've had a lot of chronic issues, this could help to ease that burden. But this is a time where you could take advantage and you could utilize this energy to create opportunities for lasting health, to feel good, to look good, to change your diet in a really positive way. This is an excellent one for exercise in particular. Diet, maybe not as much, but definitely for exercise, is expanding on a fire sign of Leo, which needs a lot of activity, but Pisces tends to not do as much activity. It depends on the person, but just generally speaking, that Leo energy in the 6th house indicates that you need a lot of movement, a lot of activity, and you need activity that's fun and playful. So this would be a great time to engage in like a dance class or something that you're moving your body, but it feels like play. That would be excellent for this time period for you, and you'll have a lot of health benefits. This is also where day-to-day work experience can become easier. This is a great time to expand your team if you have a business. The 6th house is also the house of animals, and so this is a beautiful time to expand your furry family if you're looking to add new pets into the mix. And even if you're not, that's something that could come about in a very fated synchronistic way. And it might just happen anyway. But if it does, it's going to be, I think, a really beautiful, positive experience. All right, that's my forecast for all 12 signs. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel, like the video, hype it if you're watching in the first few days, and make sure you share it with a friend who you feel like could benefit from learning about Jupiter in the sign of Leo. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.